Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are we all?
Good.
Great. I wanted to start by asking you all a question. Who here loves to exercise?
Yes.
Yes? Yes? Can be any form. It can just be going for a walk or stand-up paddleboarding. Yep, great. So I love to exercise. I grew up playing a lot of sport, and it was something that was in me from a young age that I just loved to exercise and the challenge that was placed through exercise. But I hated running. I could play netball, I could play cricket, but I hated running. And so in my early 20s, I decided to join a gym and get fit as an adult for the first time. So I get there, and there's all these beautiful people running on treadmills. You know, the ones that you see running down the road, and they look like they're skating across ice. And I thought, you know what? I want to look like that. Like that. But apparently, when I started, I looked like the picture to my left there. This was a moment I thought, that's it, I'm going to learn to run. But there were some steps I had to go through to learn to run. So there's 3 steps that I believe I needed to do to get to a place where I could functionally run well. The first one is I needed to get equipped. So as you can see, I have a few different types of runners here, all bought in sporting stores, all have some sort of comfort level. But there's one standout pair there that is actually specifically designed for running, which is this pair right here. So they have proper cushioning, they have breathable fabric, they're structured well to support my foot. Pop them on. I also needed to have comfortable clothing. So yes, nice fitted clothing that breathes well, so that when I run it doesn't ride up and it helps the sweat all breathe off. So I got equipped. These ones here, comfy, but not designed for running. Now I'm ready to go. So the next thing I needed to do was I needed to practice and prepare. So over the years, I started to run, but there was this 5K block that I was finding. Every time I'd get there, I just couldn't break through this 5 kilometres. And at this time, I had just started studying nursing. One of the first core units of nursing is anatomy and physiology. And it was through anatomy and physiology that, as we learned about the respiratory system, I had a bit of an epiphany. So there's this thing called lung capacity. Lung capacity is where the amount of air and oxygen that we take in a single breath and the carbon dioxide that's breathed out. And I'm sure we've all heard of the term aerobic.
Yeah.
Anaerobic is another term that's not as commonly spoken of. So anaerobic is the lack of oxygen within the breath. This is what we find ourselves in when we do things like sprinting, weightlifting. We're relying on the lactic acid that we're burning and not oxygen to the muscles. This was my epiphany. I was not breathing properly. I needed to learn to breathe. So this was now my challenge. So over the next few months, I learned about lung capacity, taking breaths in and expelling out that carbon dioxide. And as I began to do this, so this is now step 3, which is to then perform. So I would go out, and as I would breathe, I would take in as big as possible as you're running breaths in, and make sure I pushed out as much carbon dioxide as I could. And as I started to do this, I found that I would break through that barrier. So within 8 months of starting this, I found I was actually able to go from running the 5 kilometres to a half marathon, which was a really big feat for me. And at the end of that half marathon, I actually was not physically tired. I had muscle fatigue, but I was not out of breath, and I actually felt quite good afterwards. So I believe that these 3 steps can help us map out a plan when we want to set goals. Firstly, we have to equip ourselves with the tools we need so that we're able to navigate the process of learning before we can achieve the end result and perform the task. achieving the goal we had set out for ourselves. So I hope this encourages you to simplify your goals, maybe even help you enjoy exercise and enjoy the challenge that setting goals can present. Thank you.